Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking. As always, thank you all who supported me financially, be it through PayPal, Patreon, or Super Thanks. I will start this video with Bakhmut, as the situation here is quickly deteriorates for the Ukrainian forces, and will quickly touch different fronts if needs be. Now, this video is going to be coming out a little bit late, so if you were expecting it in a certain time frame, I sincerely apologize for that. Anyhow, let's jump straight to Bakhmut. So, as a result of storming operations here in the north, Russians were able to capture the last residential area to the west of Yubileyny Street. So, right here. They, of course, had already previously established control over this building here, thus physically cutting off the road to Khromove. Then they were able to capture garage area and some residential buildings here in the outskirts of Tetris area. Portions of this road here and this entire open field area. Like I showed you in a previous video, at this point it is unsafe for Ukrainian forces to have anything within those areas. Russians have more than enough drones to spot them and enough artillery to destroy whatever they have spotted. Now, we will stay in the north for a while because there are also reports that Russians had resumed their storming operations towards Khromove. Sources report that Ukrainian defenses within the settlement had collapsed due to the fact that they are being attacked by three directions. First one here along the Yubileyny Street, then across the field, and of course here through the forest. So I would assume that the village of Khromove might fall within hours as well. Russians can use village of Khromove to launch attacks later on uphill along the 00506 highway, so perhaps a settlement here would help their war effort. Most of the fighting now continues here in the Samolyot district. Ukrainians here still control this portion here. It's called Tetris, and Russians are trying to smoke Ukrainians out with incendiary rounds. Of that instance, I have a video for you. And here's the end result of those strikes. So that is that. Fighting here continues as of right now, with Russians trying to gain more control within this area. I would assume that due to a manner of fighting that is taking place, Russians would soon take control over these sectors here. Because again, it is basically a residential area with 1 to 2 stories buildings. And again, Bakhmut is on the brink of collapse at this point. As Bakhmut is now at a brink of a collapse, there is a lot of interesting things going on within the pro-Ukrainian side of this conflict. First of all, they claim that as Russians are taking Bakhmut, Ukrainians are surrounding them on the flanks. However, the front line had not moved in about 2 days now. They are claiming of some victories, but even a pro-Ukrainian map, deep state map, is not showing any changes. Here, let me demonstrate that. So this is the 19th of May and this is the 20th of May. As you can see, they have confirmed all Russian gains here to the north, and there are no changes on the flanks. And usually they are very eager to report Ukrainian successes, and they haven't reported anything on that. So if you're going to a comment section to tell me anything of that manner, I'm sorry, even your overlords are not claiming anything of that manner. Then, of course, while we're still in Bakhmut, there was an interesting question of one of my subscribers that was asked, what will Wagner do after the capture of Bakhmut? Well, there are several options. Option number one, that Wagner will be relocated somewhere in the rear and take its break. I think it's well deserved. Option two, like I said in my previous videos, Bakhmut is a very important city, no matter what pro-Ukrainian side now will say. It is a road congestion that leads to many important cities. It is also located right in front of a massive elevation where Chasiv Yar is located, so Russians can use it as a supply depot for their war efforts in this direction. And this is where my second option comes from, that Wagnerites will be used to storm hills and eventually Chasiv Yar. So my guess, after Bakhmut, Russians will resume their attacks. Now that it is reported that Khromove is about to fall, they will take Khromove, perhaps advance here along 00506 highway, supported by Russian attacks here to its flank. With new strength would probably achieve more success, especially with the help of Wagner's, of course, and of course attack here towards Ivanivsky. And again, this is a staging point, right? Bakhmut is not an end chapter of this entire book. It's one of many chapters, an important one perhaps, but there are still so many to come. So I would assume, and I believe that's what's going to happen, now that Prigozhin had kept his word, took Bakhmut, his popularity and popularity of Wagner will rise, thus a lot more people will join Wagner, and they would receive new blood, and with that new blood will attack further on. You have to understand that Wagner and Prigozhin himself needs to stay in the spotlight. He needs to continue his campaign. He cannot lose, he cannot leave the scene. He has to stay in. He had already said a lot of things that could potentially get him killed. So, funnily enough, but Ukraine at this point is the safest place he can be. Now, let's quickly jump back to a pro-Ukrainian map for an interesting thing. It would seem that Russians had resumed their attacks here in Avdiivka. As you can see, they have captured some land here that is adjacent to a rail line. Of course, pro-Russian maps had already claimed those territories as taken by the Russians, but overall Russians had resumed their attack towards Novokalinova and again tried to advance from Apitne towards Avdiivka and from Vadiane towards Severne. Pro-Russian sources are claiming that they have more control here. They reached the last forest line, and here as well they reached this forest line, but again, pro-Ukrainian maps, what to expect from them. As I record this video, I receive more and more information about fighting within this area. At this point, heavy battles are happening here. It is reported that Ukrainians had barricaded the lower levels of these buildings. Only little holes are remaining where they stick their machine gun barrels, and Wagnerites, in order to enter those buildings, supposed to blow up holes within the walls. But again, this indicates that Russians have started storming the buildings. While Russians are storming the buildings, I would highly advise you to watch one interesting movie. It's called Best in Hell. Perhaps as this movie will be finished by you, Bakhmut will be taken. And this movie would give you insight exactly how fighting within these kind of areas are happening. Anyhow, this is the end of the video. I want to say thank you all who has been with me all throughout this interesting journey. Again, more to come, but I just can't stop saying thank you to all of you. If you liked my video, please consider supporting it with a like, comment, and if you haven't subscribed, a subscription. It helps video to be promoted to more and more people. Also, please consider sharing it. That would also help with its promotion. Humanity, as always, calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day, and always remember, Russia will be free.